wants to know more about how to automate your process, you can click on yes in the poll box. Thank you, guys. I'll be ending the poll for now. If you have any other doubts, you can reach out to me at pawan.sahu@websol.com. Moving on, I would like to introduce our speaker of the day, Haarrdika Rajdev. Haarrdika Rajdev is a certified international NLP trainer, success coach, and soft skills expert dedicated to transforming lives through leadership, personality development, and business coaching. As a founder of SofWeb Training and Coaching Academy, she has trained professionals from Fortune 500 companies and certified aspiring trainers in NLP. With a mission to ignite transformation in million lives by 2025, she empowers individuals to unlock their potential through mindful learning and strategy coaching. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sanu, for that lovely introduction. First of all, am I audible? If I am, can I quickly have a yes in the chat box? If I'm audible loud and clear to everyone there. Yes, thank you, Soumya, on that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So once again, a warm welcome to each and every one who have joined this webinar. Truly, I have planned it in a manner where I intend and I have, all the thing to add some value to what you are here for. Okay. So keeping that in mind, I have chosen a topic coming from a background of soft skills and being an NLP life coach and, dealing with more than 25,000 individuals across Fortune 500 companies. I think empathetic leadership or employee engagement was one such topic which was very close to me because day in and day out, I think I have been seeing that change, that evolution that is happening since the past 13 years, what I have been into the field. Every training, every coaching has been, something which gives me also a lot of new things to learn and understand, perspectives about the corporate market and about individuals when it comes to their personal and professional growth. And that is the reason I chose this topic, which is empathetic leadership. And today, what we are going to be really looking into is we're going to be seeing how we can lead by being empathetic. Okay, so there are usually a leader is taken to be someone who's very authoritative and has the power and exhibits the power. At least I'm sure not now, but there were times like this down in past when that is what a leader was looked upon at rather. So how did this empathetic leadership really come into into the human mindset, and how people really found that this could transit so beautifully their employees in towards peak performance? Okay, see, the ultimate thing as a leader is that you walk with your team, you are with your team all the time, focusing towards one particular goal, right? And where you're going ahead towards that goal with each one of them as equal. But everybody has their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and all the bit of it. How you can see to that you enhance the other one, or how you can help the other person in your team to move ahead together. Okay, so empathetic leadership truly comes into the picture towards any organization, whether it is small or to the biggest. Okay, because that is where the magic happens with employees, in the sense of holistic growth. So that's what we are going to be discussing today. So let's move ahead and first understand change in a workplace. Okay, so change management is something which has been one of the key concepts or the key things which has been in flare everywhere, because the moment we talk about change, change means there is something which is no, not accepted. I can't do this. I'm so comfortable here. It's just not possible for me to go ahead. So how can I have the slide to be changed, please? Thank you on that. Thank you. So change is inevitable anywhere, whether it is an organization or your personal life, or whatever you're been doing, right, on the personal end or the professional end. Nothing is constant. Change is constant. Actually, that's how it goes. The change is constant. Can you tell me, as an audience, that are you the same towards the mindset bit of it, from what you were maybe 5 years ago and now? Can you put it on the chat box that have you found change in your mindset from what you were 5 years ago to now? If it is a yes, please put a yes on the chat box, please. Yes, yes. So I have a flow of people on yes. And do you find yourself to be changing or some kind of difference in you from yesterday to today? With your moods, with your emotions, with your productivity, with whatever you have been involved into it? Absolutely. Beautiful. Thank you for that energetic audience, the response that you're sharing there. Yes, absolutely. So, change is something which is inevitable. And whether we speak about organizational change or change towards our personal life, this is something which we need to adapt ourselves to. And this adaptation period, the more mindfully and the more seamlessly we are able to move ahead with it, the more will be uninterrupted. The more our environment, our work, and our mind will be uninterrupted. Okay. So, moving ahead, as I told you, it's just since we are focusing more on employee engagement over here, I'm talking to you on that. But eventually, if you go to see, this is applicable for us in any zone of our life. If we take our entire wheel of life, in any of the spokes of our life, whether it is our finance, career, personal growth, our relationships, our health, our wealth, whatever it could be, change is something which is going to be inevitable there. And for us to adapt to it, there will be a sense of mixed emotions, fears, resistance, and at times even excitement. So there is a lot of thing that works within this little genie, as I call it, as so a lot of things keep happening within that. So having said that, how can we see to it that this transition is very seamless, or is like a smooth sail? Okay, so everything has its own ups and downs. So if it is too seamless also, it's too true to be believed on, right? So there will be some kind of ups and downs for sure, but eventually, if you are ready to mindfully move ahead, right, it is surely a win-win for both of you, right? So, having said that, let's move ahead and understand what are the common uh, reactions that come into people's mind or which they spill when they speak about change. It could be change of your place where you're sitting, maybe your cubicle, maybe your for some people, even change of using the pen which they regularly use starts bothering them, right? So anything new for you to get adapted to rather, does take a little time. But the key word there is mindfulness. The key word there is consistency. Okay. So what are these common employee reactions? Can anybody tell me, like maybe in your team, if you have suddenly gone up to someone? I mean, I'm just giving an example. Like, of course, we have experienced it during COVID also. So when remote work policy was introduced, how many of them were like resistance towards it, so unfamiliar towards it, and they were just not ready to embrace that flexibility, right? Maybe we were itself one of them. Agreed? Yes. If yes, can you quickly put a yes on the chat box? I think COVID was one of the best examples for us to understand change management. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely right. Could you please change the slide? So, yes. So, what are these common reactions as such? It will just not affect me. That's so usually we divide it into four of these categories. It's either the denial stage, the resistance state, or the exploration state or commitment state. Okay. Now, when it is denial, this won't affect me. So it's like they are completely rigid, blocked. They're like, you do what you want. This is not going to bother me at all. And at the same time, they will be the ones who will not be there for you also, because they say, I don't have anything to do with it, and why should I even involve myself or waste my energy or bother to think about it? Now, resistance are the ones who would be like, I don't like this change. And actually, to change this mindset takes a lot of time, because they are used to doing things in one such manner. Okay. And suddenly, if you tell them change, they will be like, no, I'm not ready for it. Just imagine if I would have to tell you that, for most of us, we brush with our right hand. And suddenly I tell all of you all that from tomorrow, start using your left hand to brush your teeth for the next 21 days, right? Immediately, how many of you would say, yes, I'm ready for this change? Immediately. Would there be anyone on an immediate basis? Yes, no? Could you please put it on the chat box on that? Or for that matter, anything which you are habited to do, right? And suddenly somebody comes up and says, no, don't do it this way. Hereafter, this is going to be done this way, and you have to do it. Okay. That's where the resistance comes into the picture. Okay. So I have Manu who says, yes, they're ready to try this out, which is really good. Happy to know that you embrace change very fast and very well. That's really very truly appreciable. So on this basis, but on a common sense, in a common way of thinking, change is not something which anyone would like to just go in for overnight or on the spot, and they would just say, okay, let's go do it. There'll be very few people like that. The ones who are literally the ones who are ready for all the things that are going to come up with that, right? Because there will be a slight turmoil, there will be a slight change in everything that they are working around with. Maybe their working hours, their sleep pattern, their eating schedules, their entire working schedule could change because of this. And for all you know, for some people it could be something where it is completely new. They might have to upskill themselves to a different level to really adopt or embrace that change. So having to do this, what we really need, as I told earlier also, was to be mindful about being flexible to what is coming ahead. Okay, so these would be some of the common reactions as such. So let's move ahead now and see that what time. Could you please change the slide on it? And I think, yeah, thank you. So let's quickly move ahead and see that what is in store for us, that with change management being moving like fire into the market every day, where we are seeing everything evolving, everything improving. There's a lot of improvisations, there's a lot of new technologies, there's a lot of new minds which are coming into the market. How do we really channelize this towards peak performance, or we, as we call it, as productivity? And this can happen through the power of empathy in leadership. Yes, you heard it right. This can happen through the power of leadership, empathy in the leadership style. So, what is empathy all about? Anybody, if you could just give me a word or two as to what do you think is empathy all about? Quickly in the chat box, please. What do you think empathy is? Anyone? Okay. Getting into the shoes of the other person. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Raghavendran. Manu says putting yourself in the other's shoes, right? Anyone else? Any other perspectives? Showing concern. Nice. Showing concern. Yes, Mr. Srinivasan. Manju says understand the feelings of others. Absolutely. I think we all are on the same page towards it. Yes. So empathy means that you are understanding the other person's state of mind, the other person's current state of mind, emotions during that transition period, okay, which is very important. As we saw previously, when we propose change in front of employees, there will be some kind of resistance, there will be some kind of reluctancy among people to go ahead with it. It could be because of any of these core negative emotions, which mainly revolves around fear. Okay. But still, if you as a leader use this mantra of power of empathy, yeah, in your leadership style, and are able to handhold them through this transition period, trust me, it would be very seamless and to a larger extent, much faster also for these employees to adapt themselves. Okay. Why? Because the most important thing that empathy creates between both the parties is trust. It truly fosters a lot of trust, and when there is trust there is surrender. Yeah, improves conflict resolution through that. Absolutely true. So, with this trust, what happens is to a larger extent, there is surrender. And when to who do you normally surrender to? To a person or to a system which actually is thinking for your own benefit, right? So when employees are able to feel that rapport, feel that trust in that relationship that is between the HR and the and the employee, or between the manager and the employee, the lead and the employee, the team rather. What will happen is there will be a quick sense of collaboration, which will lead to a faster and a smoother transition. So, empathetic listeners actually carry three very important traits. Okay. One is they are active, assertive listeners. Okay. Number two, they acknowledge concern. And lastly, most important, they offer support. Okay. So the first one is active, assertive listeners, which is very important. The second is acknowledge concerns. And the third bit of it is they offer support. So these are the three most important traits of an empathetic leader. And as a leader, if you are able to exhibit this in your leadership style with your team, what we are seeing is fostering of trust, collaboration, and the ultimate bit of a smoother transition. So now let's move ahead and see that why empathy matters in change management. Okay. Why does empathy really matter in change management? Anybody? Does it really how do you think empathy would matter towards change management? Anything that comes to your mind on it? Meanwhile, can we move to the next slide, please?
Yes,
Okay.
audience, I'll be launching a quick poll. The poll is on your screens. What is the key factor in ensuring smooth transitions during change, avoiding employee involvement, managing change effectively, keeping communication to minimum, ignoring employee concerns. Please type your answers in the poll box, audience. Also, if you have any questions or queries, you can type in the chat box. We'll be having a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And if you want to talk directly with the ma'am at the end of the webinar in the Q&A session, you can raise your hand so that I'll be enabling you your mic to directly ask your questions with the ma'am. Thank you, audience. The poll box will be opening for another 10 seconds. Please type your answers in the poll box.
Beautiful. So I see, a lovely audience who says that managing change effectively truly matters the most, and it is one of the key factors for ensuring a smooth transition. I agree on that. In order to understand the other people's emotion, this plays a major role. True that, Mahalakshmi. Lovely, lovely,
Exactly. Over to you,
lovely.
ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much. And once again, audience, thank you for, pumping in so much of energy into this. This truly is helping us to dive deeper into the topic as such. Yes, so moving ahead, yes, it builds trust and transparency. Absolutely right. So, empathy is one such state in which the most important thing that happens between the two parties is an emotional connect. Okay. Where this emotional connect eventually makes your employee feel valued. And whenever there is anything tangible or intangible which has value to it, you know what the answer to it is. It obviously is about all. Okay. So when you're able to, you know, loop yourself with your employees with this beautiful state of empathy, right? This emotional connection will surely make the employees feel valued. And when they feel valued as such, there is a lot of ownness that comes into them. There is a sort of responsibility that they start taking of owning what they are doing. Rather, it could be that I have seen empathetic leaders leading in a way where literally the team feels as though forget the task, but they feel as though the entire organization's vision and mission is on their shoulders. Okay, so I've literally worked with teams like that, and it is truly beautiful to see how they collaborate together and achieve their goals. Okay, so having said that, like I've worked, as Sahu also said, I've worked with many of the Fortune 500 companies like TCS, Royal Enfield, HUL, and everywhere what I've really sensed is one more thing which I would share is that as an employee, I always look upon on my leader. Okay, so as a leader, it is more of a walk the talk. So your empathy literally has to be shown to them, literally has to vibrate to them through the way you talk to them, through the way you communicate with them. Okay, we will be looking at what are those different ways in which you can actually connect with them. But again, let's come back to why empathy on this part. So this reduces a lot of resistance and increases engagement, right? Because see, even in your personal life, think and see, to one that person who you are really very very connected with, and you go share your everything that happens in your life, you take their advice, you are always looking upon them. So there would be one or two people like that in your life who inspire you, who you really want to model from those qualities and grow in your life, right? So to a larger extent, when there is an emotional connect between the two parties as such, what happens is there is lesser of resistance, because I would be more comfortable to share anything with you. right? As an employee, if there is something which is bothering me, if there is something which is, I want to discuss, right? Or towards my own personal negative things, right? Or towards my own personal weaknesses, which I need help from my leader to help me on, right? When there is this emotional connection, it will just spring up some beautiful engagement between both of you. And last but not the least, it will surely encourage open communication and innovation. Why? Because when it is completely transparent on both the sides, right? So what I can see, you can see. What you can see, I can see. So even if there are some kind of difference of opinions, there are some kind of conflicts, or some difference of thoughts which are happening, you can always use this one powerful way of coming onto the same page, and that is open communication. Okay, and truly open communication leads to solutions only, because when there is no communications, your focus and whatever you're doing is focusing only on the problem. And if you keep looking at the problem, you're not going to find the solution. You have to go beyond. You have to take a drone vision, come out of the problem, both logically and emotionally, and then is where you start finding your solutions as such. Okay. So, old school of thought, leadership is directing from top yield results with fear in employees. How you see it? We will be discussing that in the Q&A. Please keep the questions right there. And in the end, we will be talking about it. Okay. Let's move ahead and see. So, what could be the strategies for you to engage your employees through change? So, I have five very, very powerful strategies, time tested strategies across corporates, across different levels of management. From past 13 years, I've been working in this industry, enhancing as a soft skills enhancer, as an NLP coach, and, helping a lot of people to do that. And I have seen that these five might sound very okay, what's so great about it? But the impact that they can actually bring towards employee engagement are truly commendable. And what are those? First, transparent communication, which we have already discussed, which is open communication as such. Second, employee involvement. You are the leader, of course, you know all of it in and out as to what are the requirements, what is not to be done. You have all your strategies, all your structure, everything in front of you, right? But the moment you move to your team and say, this is what we have, and what's your take on it? What's your opinion on it? When you move to that brainstorming session with them, the kind of emotional connect, the kind of, you know, mirror neurons that actually match, start attracting, start firing between both the parties is something which is going to build a lot of trust for the employees, right? And they start feeling valued, they start feeling heard, which is very, very important for them. See, you have to understand, mid level, senior level, top level are always there, right? But does anybody speak about those first time managers? Does anybody really recognize them? Does anybody really hear them out? Right. And this especially happens, I've noticed that in the first time managers, because there is a lot of this internal, uh, things that keep going on in a corporate of seniority and experience bit of it and all that, right? So I'm not using the right vocabulary to it because I really do want to go into there, but I'm sure the audience has understood what I'm talking about. So what could it be that he's just in the market? I mean, he just has 2, 3 years of experience. I'm somewhere much more than that. So I know this better. 100%, maybe you know it better. But when you give somebody that space, that way of involving themselves to at least express their thoughts, their ideas. It truly, you never know where what clicks and things start working out more better, right? We are evolving on a day in and day out. Every microsecond, there is something new and change that is happening in our environment, in our workplace, in our personal life, and in ourselves itself, right? One moment you're feeling very happy, energetic. 5 minutes later, something that starts quickly bothering you. You feel a little stressed, anxious. And then within 10-15 minutes, you're again a little back to normal. So are you seeing it's a transition that each of us are going through? Some of them are conscious about it, and there are some who are conscious but are not in a zone of acceptance and adaptation at that moment, right? And that's where the journey becomes a little difficult for those people. So, having said that, the second strategy, which is employee involvement, will truly make them feel more valued and more heard, which is going to, there will be a sense of surrender towards the leader, and they will be ready to work at any time. Of course, we are not talking about the other bit of it, like where we burn out ourselves or into it, but yeah, they will be ready with a zeal to go ahead, owning what they are doing, right? Owning everything that what they are doing. That will play a very vital role. Now, keeping the first 2 points into consideration, the third thing would be the psychological safety. See, job safety, financial safety, right? All of it matters a lot in today's world, where suddenly layoffs happen. You don't know. Next day morning, we get up and we have an email in our inbox which says you're done with the company. So it doesn't matter whether you have 1 year of experience or 10 years of experience. Our market across all domains has been facing this for quite some time, right? So when there is a kind of a psychological safety, this psychological safety directly or indirectly relates to their own financial security as well as the job security. Okay, because ultimately that is what people work for, right? A financial stability, correct? A financial freedom where they can live a lifestyle with their families and for themselves to what they have dreamt for. Okay, so this strategy also plays a very, very vital role towards where you are actually connecting with them more on a psychological basis, giving them and making them feel safe in that environment, okay, which plays a vital role. The fourth bit of is training and support. See, with the way things are changing around us, every time it is important for us as well as our teams to keep upskilling ourselves. Okay, like it's been almost 13 years I have been into this field, and every year I make it a point to upskill myself towards any of the related modalities towards human psychology, behavioral science, mindset, or towards growth, all of it put together. And every year I make it a point, and yes, I do hold 12 different towards or in all of these domains as such, right? So training and supporting your team plays a very, very vital role. First, train them, upskill them, give them that knowledge, give them that skill, and then support them to enhance it, support them to make them go better and better and better in it, day after the other, or they, on a quarterly basis, keep reviewing them and support them to understand where the problem is, where is that leakage of energy happening, where this sink is not working out on, right? Where we are not able to get that productivity, where we are not able to achieve that vision or mission of the organization. Where is that leakage coming from? For which upskilling your team and yourself and supporting each another would play a very vital role. Last but not the least, I would actually give this point number one as such, which is recognition and appreciation. Okay. In today's world, this is something which plays the most vital role for anybody to grow. The more you are able to recognize their work, bring it up in all the hierarchies and get them to, the other higher hierarchies to understand as to who was that first one team lead or that intern who actually got in that innovation, would boost their, morale, their confidence, their commitment, and their trust and surrender so much into you as a leader that they will be loyal towards their work and the company's work and align themselves towards the vision and mission of the organization. So recognition and appreciation would be very, very vital onto it. Okay. So these are the 5 most important strategies towards engaging employees through change. If this really helped you and made sense, could I please have a quick yes on the chat box, and then we will move ahead with the next bit of it. Thank you, Manu, for that quick yes. Thank you, Soumya. Thank you, Srinivasan. Thank you, Raghavendran. Okay, wonderful. So let's move ahead now, right? So it's poll time
Yes,
again.
it's poll time again, audience. I'll be launching a quick poll. Actually, there is a poll running in our LinkedIn page. I have pasted the link in our chat box. If you click on the link, you'll be directly redirected to the LinkedIn page, where is the poll is going on. Click on the link from the chat box and you will be directed to the poll in our LinkedIn page. Please click your answer the poll, guys. I'll be reading the poll for you. How can organizations improve transparent communication? Using multiple communication channels, avoid explaining the change, give updates only when needed, discourage employee questions. Please type your answers in the poll. Also, reminder for all the audience, we'll be posting many HR related content, trends related to HR, and all the automation related content in our LinkedIn page. Once you complete your poll question, you can follow our LinkedIn page so that you will be updated with all the content related to HR and other automation techniques. We can already see a lot of good engagement for polls. Thank you, guys. Ma'am, any opinion, any on the question, ma'am? Can you see the whole question? Ma'am, you are on mute, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Sorry, not yet. I guess I'm not able to click on it, but maybe in the Q&A, we can discuss
Okay.
on that. Would that be okay?
Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Strategies.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. So I have 3 effective and impactful strategies that I'm going to be discussing about, okay, which are surely going to be the game changer for all of you who you have, are watching today and who will watch this later on also. So as discussed earlier, the first one is the transparent communication. So always explain clearly the why of what is happening, the why of why this change is happening. Once you are clearly given them the understanding of the why, right, they will start processing it within themselves, and they will understand that, this is something which is required or which is for our growth. So the why is very, very important. If you really know, I mean, I'm sure to all the parents and maybe the elder siblings, if any of you are there, I mean, all of us who are here. So kids usually have this one question for anything that you tell them. Why? Why? Why should I not do this? Why should I do this? And the moment you give them an answer which to their understanding convinces them or makes them feel that, okay, this sounds all right for me, they become, calmer towards it, more adaptable towards it. So this is not only with children. I'm sure most of us as parents or thing would have experienced this. At least my son had crazy why questions till a certain extent. Anything that I had to tell him to do or, to think, first thing, why should I do this, Mama? That was the first question that he had. And, once we were able to clearly explain it to him, he was more approachable and more adaptable. And that's what happens by being open. The second is use multiple channels. See, as in NLP, we say sensory acuity, which is basically what? We take in information within ourselves through our five senses, right? VKAOG, right? Where visual, auditory, and kinesthetic are the most common ways in which we are taking in information into us, processing it, and once it is processed, based on that is where two things happen. Either we react or we respond. Okay, of course, it's a complete, NLP communication effective model, which I'm not going deep into to explain, but I'm just giving you a gist of it. Okay, so use multiple ways of getting the message passed across to your audience. Okay, and that would be because every person resonates or every person connects differently with data. Some of them are very, very visually high. So, some people must be more focusing on the PPT that is here. Some people who are very high on their auditory sense would be listening to me carefully over here, the words, or, like, what am I trying to explain and what is it, what is it all about? And some people would be maybe making their now down their notes and thinking that, okay, I would first like to experiment this strategy, see what is the result of it, and then go ahead with it. Okay, they are the kinesthetic ones who like to feel it for themselves. Okay, how many online buyers here? I mean, how many online no buyers here? What I meant, how many of you don't resonate yourself with online buying? Anybody? Quickly, a yes or a no on the chat box. Anyone? How many of you don't resonate with online buying? Okay, I see. No response. No. Okay, so you don't resonate. Okay. Okay. Why don't you resonate? If you could just give me an answer in one line. Gunas, why don't you resonate to online buying? One vital reason is that they would always like to feel the product, test the product. Okay, so these are the kinesthetic ones. Okay, by the time he puts in the answer, let's move ahead, keeping the time in mind. Okay, the last bit of it is better communication. Provide them with regular updates with what's happening towards that change, towards that new thing which is coming up, and that will surely keep them in the loop. And at the same time, nothing will come to them as an uncertainty. Nothing to come will come to them as a shock because they know the process, they know the flow, they are aligned with what is happening ahead. So this would be the first strategy. Now, the second strategy is involving employees in change. Always make it a point that you encourage employees to share their feedback. Now, there are different ways in which you can take their feedback. So use any of the tools, techniques, but make it a point to understand as to what are they thinking about, what is their thought process also, which is very, very important. The second bit of it is assign change champions to advocate the transition. See, if it is a very small change with a small bit of a group, then maybe you can monitor it and see how things are transiting and what is happening. But if it is truly something really very big or something which needs a little more of a support as an helping hand, always have somebody who is assisting you, who we call in our terminology as change champions, who can advocate these transitions, right? Because obviously you cannot be everywhere also, because when you're here and when your team is going through that storming norming form, somebody within there should be available to them for support, right? So see if you can assign somebody like that. Okay, the third bit of it would be co-create solutions rather than imposing top-down decisions. Yes, it is always about we together and not do as I say. Okay, because that is where is the thin line of demarcation between a boss and an empathetic leader, between old thought of leadership which was there and the evolving the evolving way of empathetic leadership is now become. Okay, so co-create solutions rather than imposing top-down decisions. Okay, the next bit of it would be the last strategy which I would like to share is recognizing and supporting employees. Okay, so among the five, these three would are, I would say, the top three strategies which on an immediate basis, when implemented, you are going to see good benefits for your organization and your team. So recognizing and supporting your employees. So acknowledge their efforts and adaptability, provide upskilling opportunities to them. And lastly, most important, celebrate every small win of that member, of that person, of that employee, because this is, you feel, is going to boost the morale only of that one employee. No, it is going to boost the morale of all the people who are in his or her proximities. So, it is one to many, and it is one of the beautiful strategies to actually incorporate and create that sense of oneness and getting your employees to be better performers towards productivity is one of these strategies. Okay, like I've given an example over there. A company introducing AI tools recognizes employees adapting well with change leaders award, right? I mean, it truly makes them feel more like, it's like you have given them everything. Because whenever, see, even we as people, when we are recognized, when we are appreciated, is there anybody here who doesn't feel good? I'm sure not. I don't even want to ask on the chat box that is there anybody like that who feels. No, we always feel happy about it, correct? And so are the employees of ours, so is the team. So towards employee engagement, this is what I wanted to share with you all, right? That an empathetic leader, the power of empathy in you as a leader can truly create wonders for you and your team towards productivity. So we are, I guess, open for a Q&A. So if there are any questions, please do share it with me. And other than that, thank you so much for having me over here, Websol and all the organizations. And to the lovely audience, it's been wonderful sharing my perspective on this topic today.
And we have some of the questions from the registrants. I'll be asking you.
Yes.
Empathetic managers are not taken seriously or misunderstood. What is the point of view on?
Right. So as I already discussed this with you, so what happens with empathetic leaders is, see, that's an old school thought process where we say that people say that, that leaders means it is all about authority, it's all about decisiveness, it's very result oriented approach, correct? So there is a kind of a lot of change that has come in now, where now managers are leading with empathy, right? And they are becoming a little lenient, and there is a lot of emotional connect rather than being strong and strategic. Okay, but here you have to understand one thing, that empathy in leadership does not mean that you're avoiding being tough or you're avoiding being taking those tough decisions. It only means that you are understanding the needs, the emotions of the employees in a much better manner, and you are considering them well while making the decisions. Okay, so truly, if you go to see, an empathetic manager can balance compassion with accountability. Okay, ensuring that their employees are feeling very valued in the drive of performance. Okay, so I feel that empathy must be paired with clear communication, firm decision making, and strategic thinking. And then there is no way that there would be any kind of misunderstanding towards it, is what is my take on it.
How does an empathetic leader influence employee engagement and productivity?
Okay, so this is more towards, so we were speaking more about the why. Now let's move towards the how, which is basically the tools as such. I'll quickly give you, I mean, we've already discussed a few of them, but I'll quickly give you a few of them. I mean, few more of them, maybe a few are repeated. So the first is boost your employees' morale. Okay, which I've been talking since then to now, right? Appreciate them, right, recognize them, very very important. Okay, and give them a culture and environment of trust and belonging. This will really boost their morale to a very large extent. The second thing could be enhance their engagement. Okay, many of the employees feel unheard. So employees, you need to give them a chance to speak, to express, to contribute, because when this happens, they will take ownership. And once they are contributors, they will start taking ownership. And once they take ownership, they will quickly start aligning to the company's vision and mission. Okay. The third point could be that you can reduce the employees' turnover, right? Which is, see, empathetic leaders, what do they really foster? They foster loyalty, right? So employees are less likely to leave uh, a workplace when they feel valued and supported. Okay, so that would play a very, very vital role over here, right? The next one could be improving on team collaboration, right? This would strengthen the relationship within them, also within the peers, because there will be open communication, there will be a lot of bond that will be there, right? And which will reduce the conflicts and increase the teamwork. Okay, and so I think these points would surely help towards employee engagement and productivity.
Empathetic leadership will decrease corporate politics.
Truly, yes, it will decrease. I'm sure by now most of you would agree with me on that. Yes, it would to a very larger decrease, because empathy itself means understanding, right? Which we all said, understanding what the other person feels. So when you understand the perspective of the other person, whether accepting it, not accepting is a different thing. But at least at that point, you are on the same page. So obviously, these conflicts eventually will fizzle out slowly, slowly into the corporate life.
How can leaders balance empathy and accountability?
Beautiful question. Thank you for that question. So, how can leaders balance empathy and accountability? So, as I told you all, empathy is something which is more related towards the emotional state, the emotional connect, the emotional, resilience to a larger extent that we are building between the two parties, right? On the other hand, right, if you would say that with regards to accountability, okay, so what is accountability? Anyone on the chat box could tell me what is accountability meaning to you? Anyone could answer on that? I think Neha has asked that question. So, Neha, if you could tell me, taking ownership. Beautiful, absolutely. So, when there is a sense of connect, automatically the balance will be there of taking ownership. Okay. See, today as an entrepreneur, if I am empathetic towards my team, right? My team will automatically take the ownership of considering my company as theirs and start working towards the growth of the company, because it is like a straight growth chart. Okay. The company grows, the employee grows. The company grows, the employee grows. The company grows, the employee grows. Okay. So it's a very interlocked relationship. They have to work hand in glove towards it. Okay. So if you're able to exhibit empathy very well, right, towards it, accountability will automatically start falling in place. You will not even have to think about balancing it, because this will bring in trust. And when there is trust, things start moving, aligning to both the parties.
Can you share some examples of organizations that successfully navigated change through empathic leadership?
Can you share some examples? I mean, if I really have to say that most of the companies in today's world are looking more at empathetic leaders. And in fact, when we do leadership drives, across in different corporates, that's the first thing that we talk to, these the leaders as such, right? The team leads as such in two ways. The first thing is empathizing towards them, their own self, which is very important. Okay. Because just by understanding others is, empathy doesn't play well there alone. You have to even understand yourself. So first look in, right? Look in as to what are the things that you need to work on yourself to become a more empathetic person. Okay. And once you start shifting your mindset towards it, start working towards it, start taking action towards it, it is just a matter of time where you will start attracting, vibrating, or radiating those frequencies in and around you. Okay. So eventually I will not be able to give you any specific examples, but yeah, there are lot of examples that we have, the top leaders around the globe who are empathetic leaders and who have been showing a lot of growth towards themselves and their companies and
Blend of
their teams rather.
blend of decisive and empathy in leadership, is it workable?